Good evening, and welcome to the Wednesday Word of Wisdom. This is yours truly, just in case you don't recognize me. This is Antoinette Jackson, your sister, your friend, um, your partner in crime. Well, maybe not in crime, but certainly here to be a supportive partner for you and with you throughout this thing we call life. Tonight, I wanted to ask you a question. What happens when the mask comes off? What happens when the mask comes off? And because I will not spend the next few moments talking to you from behind the mask, I did want to start out with a demonstration because I'm sure that behind the mask I was not recognizable. But of course, once I revealed myself, then you quickly knew who I was. So when I asked the question, what happens when the mask comes off? It forces us to really think about who we are. Um, what has happened to us throughout this time of isolation, quarantine, separation in many regards. That is, of course, if you have been complying and doing what has been asked in effort to flatten the curve around this dreadful virus. I have been engaging in some really serious conversations with individuals that have either suffered through this, are suffering through this, or have family members that have suffered or they are currently suffering through this. And it is interesting to me the lack of uh, carelessness, um, or should I say, the amount of carelessness that I have seen displayed around this pandemic and around this virus. Obviously, this is something different. This is something that none of us have ever experienced because if we had been to this place before, at least within our lifetimes, then things would not have had to take drastic measures, or drastic measures would not have to had to been taken to protect us as human beings. So when I asked the question, what happens when the mask comes off? So, you know, the timeline, of course, there's a lot of uncertainty around when this pandemic will come to an end. Um, you know, how long will we actually be in isolation? How long will we be working from home? There are so many more questions than there are answers. And I'll back up just a little bit because when I started out this journey, when I started out to encourage and to uplift and to edify, um, I wanted to do this from a very holistic standpoint. So there may be times when I may not be throwing scriptures. And I think today is just one of those days. I just did not sense that in my spirit. I just wanted to just get on and talk to you all. I did not record any new material on last week because I was processing some things. And sometimes we have to step back, take a look at ourselves. And that's a part of this work that we should be doing during this time of this pandemic and this downtime. But it's going to be really sad to see and to hear the stories of those that did not maximize the moments that were given to us. We should come out of this much better, much wiser, much stronger than we were when we went into this a couple of months ago. God has given us some time to just really just pull back and to rest for one, but to also spend some time with our families, with our spouses, renewing commitments, renewing relationships, establishing new relationships where we possibly could. And the list just goes on and on and on. But unfortunately, some have not taken advantage of that opportunity and have chosen to hide behind the mask versus um, exploring who they really are. So, what happens when we can no longer, or I won't say we can no longer, but what happens when masks are no longer required? How many will have actually adapted to um, just wearing a mask? It's become a norm, it's become just a part of you. What is that really going to look like after all of this is said and done? What's going to happen when we pull the mask off and we toss it to the side? You know, for some of us, we may have drawers full of masks because, you know, maybe you're going out that much, or like my spouse, you know, has to go out daily, so he needs at least 5 for the week. So, you know, will you just have a stockpile of masks? You know, after this is all said and done, and I really need you to catch this analogy because, in reality, this is what our story has looked like. We've had so many different colors of masks, so many different styles and shapes, and I have more. I just didn't want to even go through that, but you can imagine when my husband buys him some, he buys me some. But I mean, I don't even go out that much. But anywho, um, that is what life has really looked like for us. We've been able to hide behind these different facades, and um, individuals don't really know who we are, you know, from day to day. I know people that, you know, will switch. And I know I have my mood swings. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't, but I'm talking about, I don't even know if you even call that a mood swing. I mean, they're just, maybe it's just split personality. I don't know. But it's still, from an ideological standpoint, it is just the switching and the changing because they don't really know who they are. And so, in effort to just shield everyone else from the true individual, the true person, the authentic individual, they'd rather just put on a mask. And so, I would submit that those individuals of whom I'm speaking probably adjusted fairly well to having to wear a mask if they're wearing a mask. Okay, let's just put that out there too, because that's a whole nother talk show. Okay, but this is my YouTube channel, so I get to say what I want to say. Huh? But they've, you know, I feel as though they adjusted very well to putting on different masks day in and day out because that is what they had been doing. Literally, even before it became a quote unquote requirement, okay, for safety. So, but what happens? What happens? What happens when the mask comes off? And I need to speak to you all because I mentioned just a few moments ago that I did not record last week because I had to sit with some things and I had to process some things. Had a, you know, an awesome televisit with my therapy. Yes, I'm sorry, with my therapist. Yes, I still do therapy. I'm never beyond. Yes, you know, people reach out to me for counsel, for prayer, for encouragement, but I can't pour from an empty cup. I can't. Nothing comes out of it. So I have to make sure that I am sustained, that I am renewed, and that I have to, you know, back up, you know, and take care of me. And it's all about some of the things that I've been teaching about over the last few months is self-care, you know, who are you? And all of this kind of just encapsulates that. But I just wanted to just talk for a few minutes to you, just encourage you to do the things that you need to do to make sure that you're okay. And then to say to you that, you know, it's okay for you not to be okay. And I've said this before, but I can't stress this enough because I mean, I've received several calls this week already from individuals who are distressed, they are depressed, um, just very isolated, very lonely, And I had to share very transparently with them because I don't want anyone to ever think that I am too spiritual or too inhumane to feel. That is a lie from the pit of hell. And if any of us are not sympathizing or empathizing with those that are around us during this time, then I would recommend that you probably should see a therapist, because that means that you're not only in touch, you're not in touch with yourself, but you're also not in touch with others around you. And so it is important to acknowledge those places of weakness wherein we may find ourselves from time to time. And last week just happened to be one of those. What I realized is that I was carrying a burden, or carrying burdens for individuals that didn't even realize what they were doing. Okay. And so we tend to internalize those things. Well, at least I do. And I know that's one of my, I guess, shortcomings. And I don't know this is even a shortcoming. It's just, that's just who I am. And it's just, I think that sometimes I care too much, and I think that I love too hard. That doesn't make me a bad person, but it can sometimes incapacitate me to a point of grief, to a point of even borderline depression. And so when I shared with these individuals, because I think that in order to help others heal, we have to sometimes share our hurts and let them know that, hey, you are not in this thing by yourself. You are not going through this thing by yourself. Because guess what? Even though I have a spouse that, thank God, comes home to me every day from work, we have a loving, caring relationship. I'm thankful for that. But even in the midst of that, I still find myself in lonely moments. And I was talking with him about that this morning. He said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, because after you spend so many days in these four walls, and I'm grateful for, our home, and it is a great sense of peace and tranquility here, because I bless, this home is blessed, and I know that. But we cannot separate ourselves from, you know, just being real. We can't separate, the matters of our hearts. And so I just wanted to encourage you to just, when it comes time to take the mask off, that you are ready to share and to show who you really are. Because when I tell you, we don't know how this is going to end up. Listen, I know some good prophets. The Lord deals with me, shows me things in dreams. I see things prophetically, and I do not know. Those are the and I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, but those are the things of God that are that confound us, and the mysteries. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Those are the mysteries of God that are not yet revealed and have not yet been revealed. And we are just going to have to trust Him through and in the process. Casting off the weight that can really set us back. Because where I was last week, I had allowed myself to get there. I had allowed myself to get caught up in a web of guilt. And it took my therapy session to help me to realize that under normal circumstances, things would not have been the way that they are. And it was nothing that I could do to control or to change the current state of affairs. And so what I had to do was release that guilt in that moment. I had to release the fear. I had to dry up those tears that I was crying every single day, because things were out of my control. And guess what? We've got to know the power that we hold, and then the rest, we've just got to let go and let God. And I think that we have found in the last couple of months that there's very little power that we do have, and all power belongs to Him. So, what is going to happen when the mask comes off? Who are people going to see? Are they going to see the transformed Antoinette or the transformed Tony that some of you may know? Who are they going to see when the mask comes off? I don't know about y'all, but I don't like anything on my face, especially not around my nose. I like to talk. And I'll share this little quick story before as I prepare to close this teaching. But I was at the grocery store the other day, and I had on my mask, of course, and the young man was very friendly, very cordial, and I was trying to talk to him, and he said, "I'm sorry." He said, I'm having a hard time hearing you. And I said, "I know." And he said, "Yeah, these masks is just hard." And I thought about that when I got back in my husband's truck, and I said, so many of us have been muffled and we've been silenced as a result of maybe this pandemic. It has brought us maybe to our lowest of lowest points. But can I just encourage you and tell you that there are some better days ahead? There are coming, there will be a time in the near future. I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know how, but we're going to all be able to take off the mask. But what are you going to say when the mask comes off? Is it going to be worthy of being heard? What are people going to see? What are they going to hear when the mask comes off? So that's what I want to leave you with today. I hope you're encouraged. Continue to just pray. Continue to trust God. Continue to read. Continue to exercise. Continue to love on yourself. And if you have not been loving on yourself, please do so. If you need therapy, call one. Call one. You don't have to go into an office. They will do it right here on the telephone. And it will be just as effective. Trust me. I've been doing my sessions. So, and know that I'm here for you. If there's anything that I can do for you, and if I can be a listening ear, if I can be a prayer partner, by all means, please reach out. Know that I love you. I'm praying for you. God bless you.